Hey guys, Galapagos Jay here. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 little tips, 10 little recommendations for you to, sort of improve your gel blaster experience. These are things that I typically do for myself, and these are just some things that I've found over the years that are useful and stuff like that. Just want to share it with you guys, and hopefully it helps you out. Okay, the first one. Every time I buy a new set of switch group or a new MOSFET or a new blaster, anything that comes with the wires, okay, with the power supply and all that stuff, I always make sure that I change the connector to these, okay. This is what they call the XT30U connectors, okay. These are nylon caps with gold plated contacts, okay. So the beauty of this is, first of all, these are very tiny, so if you have to put your battery inside the stock, you'd know that a big connector is a hassle, it takes up a lot of space. Second of all, these are gold plated, so they have much better electricity conduction, and also it can take up to 35 amps of current. So these are really, really great, especially if you have like a very high powered setup, big battery and stuff like that, and you do a lot of on and off. These are very good. It won't heat up as easily, and it's much better for your battery and your motor. So XT30U, try these out. All right, number two, this is something that I mentioned before, and some commenters were asking what they look like. So here it is, gel ball stoppers, okay. They come in different designs and sizes and all that stuff, but the general idea is that it sort of shrinks, sort of like provides a smaller diameter at the feeding end of the tube of your inner barrel to stop the gel balls from falling out of the barrel. Now the side effect of this is that it sort of squeezes the gel balls a little bit, because these, the inner diameter is about 7 millimeters. So it does like a little squeeze. So imagine, the ball being squeezed and then a pressure is hitting it to sort of fly out the tube. It sort of like increases the exit velocity a little bit. So it's a good thing to have, but mostly it's just for practicality that the gel balls don't fall out. So gel ball stoppers. So number three, along the lines of gel ball catching and stopping. Now, this might be something that you guys have not seen yet, and that is gel ball catcher. Okay, it looks like this metallic ring with a rubber ring inside of it. Okay, the rubber ring provides like two little flaps. It's like a valve sort of thing, and the purpose of that is to fit, okay, at the feeding end of the three-way, and you sort of glue this part to it, and what it does is that it catches all the gel balls within the three-way, so that when you pull out the mag, nothing falls out. Okay, so to install this, okay, you first need to cut away about 4.5 millimeter of length from the bottom of the three-way, and then you use those AB glues, like the ones with the two tubes, the super glue that you have to mix together. That's the only one strong enough to make sure that this stays in place, because this is metallic, this is plastic, so it's two different materials. You need to use that kind of strong glue to make sure it stays in there. So at the end, it will look something like this, and then the rubber flap will make sure that it catches all the gel balls within the three-way. So that's a good way to, conserve more ammo, and also, when you're like pulling out your magazine, it's not like a lot of things falling out. So that's one thing to, consider. All right, so number four. So in line with that, catching all the gel balls and make sure you're not like wasting ammo and stuff, here's another tip. Now, when you're in the middle of the game and then you have a full magazine, you need to change your mag. When you push it up, okay, if you don't have preload function, you're bound to have like this full tube of empty gel balls, okay? Nothing in there, so you're gonna have like 20 blank shots. Now, a thing that I use, a little trick that I use, is that every time I fill a magazine, I also have a loader to make sure that I fill the tube of the magazine, and then I put in my magazine holder. So the benefit of that is I am making sure that my magazine is filled to the brim. As soon as I put it on, it's ready to shoot, okay? Especially coupled with the gel ball catcher, you're gonna have basically a seamless experience in terms of gel ball feed. Do this right before the game, and you should be fine. Okay, just have one of these loaders, load up that whole tube, and you're good to go. If you have like a, sort of like an OCD or something, especially with like designs on, you know, your silencer or your flash hider or whatever, and when you screw it on, it's never facing the right way, try adding a rubber ring, okay, at the thread. Okay, so you just put the rubber ring, you know, at the bottom of the thread, okay, and then you start screwing it in. So what it does is, it first of all, it provides this sort of bounce, this buffer, okay, it's an elastic buffer, so it allows you to sort of make sure that you're turning the silencer to the right way, and also the rubber provides you with a lot of friction so that it's actually holding this thing in place and it won't become loose. So the rubber ring actually helps you make sure that the design still looks fantastic. So that's a little trick that you can try as well. Number six. Now going back to the magazine, get into a habit of cleaning your magazine. So at the end of all your game, make sure you clear out your magazine, okay? And then when you get home, make sure you disassemble your magazine and clear out all the gunk that is left over from the battle. Because once that dries up, and if it gets caught in the motor, it can really affect your feeding. So make sure you get into a habit of cleaning your magazine. So if you're like me, you know, like the ammo guy of the team, you have a lot of work to do. So these days I tend not to be the ammo guy of the team. I just tell them, you know, I'm gonna bring 2 bottles, you can use the bottle, I'm not bringing you magazines. But anyway, so yeah, get into a habit of cleaning your magazines. All right, number 7. So before the day you play a game, okay, go through a thorough inspection of your blaster, okay? Make sure everything is clean, functioning, nothing's loose, okay? Your motor still works, okay? Sometimes at the end of the game you forget that you heard some strange noise and you just pack it up and leave, and you just completely forgot that the motor was loose or something. So this is a good time for you to make sure you do the final check that it's actually, you know, still working and whatever, working properly. You know, connect the battery and then just make sure everything's okay, okay? So also make sure that you're checking your sights. If you use an iron sight, just check your lining. If you use a red dot sight, just keep checking everything is working in order. If you have flashlights, red lasers, whatever, just, you know, check that your battery's full. Make sure everything is in working order before you get onto the battlefield. You don't want to be embarrassed and, you know, you have this nice looking thing and then you go on, nothing happens. So all right, number 8. So this is for when you are done with a Gel Blaster battle. So when you get home, make sure you have something, you know, long enough to clean out the tube, okay? Make sure you take out all the batteries of your torch, of your laser sight. Your red dot sight, you can take it out. You can leave it in it as well if you don't turn on as a habit. But make sure you actually take out the batteries. Everything is in off position. Disconnect the big battery and then you can just hang it up, okay? Like I said, clean your mags, clean everything. In this way you're making sure that everything will last for a long time. Okay, number 9, going back to the Gel Blaster. Now for those of you who enjoy tweaking and you know, setting up your own stuff or installing new stuff into your Gel Blaster, I'm sure you would have, you know, encountered the problem of motor actually, you know, changing position after a while of shooting, because the vibration sometimes can actually affect the screw at the bottom. It can actually, you know, sort of vibrate it to the point where it's loose and it will just loosen itself over time. So what I typically do is once I have the motor at the perfect height, okay, once the screw is in place, I make sure that I apply some thread locking glue around the rim of the screw. So some of you might think, why don't I do it onto the thread before I do it? So if you do that, then you might be applying too much of that thread locking glue, and you know, eventually at some point in time you have to undo this again. So if you apply too much screw, it might become too difficult to undo. So just do it around the rim, okay, so that it's just doing like one thread or something. It'll be enough to hold it in place, and then you just wipe off all the excess. Okay, that will be enough to hold your motor in place. And for this particular rifle, my HK416D, after I applied the glue, I've been playing with this for, I don't know, 2-3 months, still have no problem. So yeah, that's a very good good little trick to have. All right, the final tip. This one's more for personal preference, but if you wear a lot of gear like myself, okay, I would recommend that you do everything pre-set up as much as possible and having everything modular. So for example, every time I go to a game, I only need to put on a couple of things. First, the fatigues. I change it to my fatigues, which is the top and the pants, and then I put on my shoes, I put on the vest, put on my helmet, and that's it, I'm done. So these are the only things that I need to worry about. Everything else I do it the night before. For example, if you look at my vest, okay, first of all, my shoulder strap is already installed onto the vest, so I don't need to, have a separate shoulder strap. It's actually attached to my vest. Second of all, I have a little backpack at the back, so all spare ammo, all spare batteries, and whatever I already put in my backpack the night before, okay? And then after that, I would have 3 magazine holders and 3 magazines already installed onto it. So when I put on my vest, I just pull it back out, fill it up, and then put it back in, okay? Now my radio is already installed. I have a pair of gloves already attached to the vest. So everything is on the vest. So as soon as I put it on, I'm ready to go. So I don't know if you guys use that much gear, but that's something to keep in mind to make your life a lot easier when you're setting up for your game. Alright guys, so that was 10 little tips from me. These are things that I've learned along the way when I was playing with Joe Blasters. So hopefully it can help you guys out too and make your life a lot better or make your experience a lot better. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. I have a lot more things planned to come. So stay tuned. Anyway, peace.